Can you take me to Marie Curie Avenue? Did you know there was once an entire avenue in New York City named after Marie Curie? And yet it completely vanished from the map. One of the most famous scientists of all time, Marie Curie was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize. And as of this video, the only person to win Nobel Prizes in two different scientific fields, physics and chemistry. This building was once just steps away from the street that once carried her name. So what happened to New York City's Marie Curie Avenue? And what would it take to put it back on the map? Let's rewind. It was 1935. The world had just lost Marie Curie the year before. A tree planting in Plaque was revealed in New York City's City Hall Park in her honor. More on that later. There were even talks of yearly tree plantings in a designated Marie Curie Day. Enter Marie Mattingly Meloney, editor of This Week, the Sunday magazine for the New York Herald Tribune. She was more than a journalist. She was a friend of Marie Curie, a powerhouse fundraiser, and someone with pull in New York City. In fact, she'd previously launched a campaign and helped raise $100,000 for a gram of radium for Marie Curie to study. Here's a picture of Marie Mattingly Meloney, Marie Curie, and her daughters Eve and Irene arriving in New York City in 1921 to collect that radium sample. She pitched an idea. Let's name a street after Marie Curie. Mayor LaGuardia and city officials were on board, with one change. They left off her maiden name Sklodowska because it was too long for the sign. They picked a thoroughfare along the East River, formerly known as Exterior Street. This wasn't a block or a corner or an alleyway. This was an entire avenue from East 53rd to East 80th Street. Now, it was Marie Curie Avenue. Marie Curie Avenue hugged the waterfront, where some of the city's most important medical and research institutions stood and pioneered radiation-based cancer treatment. Thousands of people showed up for the naming ceremony. Even the mayor himself, Fiorello LaGuardia, gave a speech.
In order to have something like this, named a street, this is really a political process. At that time, there was a significant Polish population.
This is Dr. Jerome Krase. He's a professor emeritus of sociology at Brooklyn College and was close friends with Joseph Wyczerczak, the writer of the article that first tipped me off about Marie Curie Avenue.
It's also in the middle of Great Depression. You have things that the city itself is trying to get stuff done. So there's quite a bit of interest with the Nobel Prize. And so there was that kind of moment where it could happen, and it did happen.
Let's take a look back and see why. Marie Curie wasn't just famous, she was a scientific legend. Born in Warsaw in 1867, she moved to Paris because women weren't allowed at her local university. There, she met her husband, Pierre Curie, and she became the first woman in France to obtain a doctorate degree. Together, the Curies isolated and discovered the radioactive elements polonium, named in honor of Marie's homeland, and the even more radioactive radium. Curie discovered that the intense energy coming off these elements was from particles inside their atoms, decaying. At the time, scientists thought atoms were inert. She called this phenomenon radioactivity. Radioactivity was soon applied to the medical field, laying the foundation for the radiation therapy we use today. She also took her science to the front lines of World War I. She figured out how to make X-ray machines portable, loading them into vans that became known as Little Curies. She trained women to be X-ray technicians. It's estimated that over 1 million soldiers received X-rays during the war, helping doctors locate bullets, set fractures, and save countless lives. Of course, the dangers of radiation weren't fully understood then. Marie Curie passed away in 1934 from aplastic anemia, likely linked to her years of exposure. The New York Times said few had done more for the general welfare of mankind. So what happened to Marie Curie Avenue? How did a street named for one of the most accomplished scientists of all time just disappear? Just 2 years after the naming, the city made plans for a massive transformation along the East River, what would eventually become the FDR Drive. By 1940, after existing for just 5 years, Marie Curie Avenue was gone, flattened, buried, and paved over with rubble from bombed-out buildings overseas. Yes, World War II rubble was used as fill. So in a strange way, Curie Street was literally buried by history.
It becomes wartime. There's so many other things that are of significance, and it loses its currency in terms of the general population.
I found an old negative of Marie Curie Avenue on eBay, had it developed, and it looks like there's still some remnants of what was once Marie Curie Avenue. This negative was created by Percy Loomis Sperr, a photographer hired by the New York Public Library to document the city. The stone wall, the lamppost, and some of the buildings still stand today. In 1998, there were efforts to restore her name to the streets along the East River by the Polish-American Congress, but those efforts were unsuccessful. What would it take to try again?
It shouldn't be a very difficult thing to do, because they name streets constantly, for people, and it generally comes from the locality, the Polish community. A lot of the Poles have moved out of the city, so that's what disperses that kind of influence.
So, did you know about Marie Curie Avenue? What other scientists do you think should have streets named after them? And would you help bring Marie Curie's name back to New York City? Let me know in the comments. The video's not over yet. There is still a secret surviving public tribute to Marie Curie right here in New York City. It's a plaque dedicated to her in City Hall Park. The plaque, along with a tree planting, was placed here on November 7th, 1934, on what would have been Marie Curie's 67th birthday, just 4 months after her death. Over 1,000 people attended the ceremony, including then-Mayor Fiorella LaGuardia and powerful city planner Robert Moses. The plaque was a gift from the Polish-American children of New York, and it even includes her Polish maiden name, Skłodowska. The plaque wasn't always behind a fence.
After 9/11, what they did is they closed off a lot of the park.
So next time you're in City Hall Park, look for the Marie Skłodowska Curie plaque. Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more videos.